Hey everybody, this is Javi, and you are watching the Full-Time Psychic here on YouTube. I'm a psychic and intuitive medium who focuses on divination and storytelling to help people overcome generational trauma. Welcome, happy Monday. This is the daily messenger for the day of September 23rd, 2019. I can't believe the month is almost over with. So, this message is actually for my fellow star seeds, those who are very connected to alien energy, those who are connected to your 5D dimension energy, and I am so like excited about this particular this particular reading because the one thing I got right away when I tapped into um, very much tapped into spirit as far as you know what our day is going to be looking like, because I'm a fellow Syrian. I'm very much connected to my people and connected to that particular energy. And so what I'm getting is for our fellow star seeds here is that um, basically seize the day. Seize the day. Not only seize the day, but like basically take it and make it your own, because we are storytellers. We are here to raise the consciousness of the human race, of the world, and to basically allow yourself to tell your stories, to use your knowledge, everything that you have. A lot of you are channelers. So basically use all the information you downloaded to teach the people, throughout this entire world that look, there's so much that we can do. There's so much that we can reverse. There's so much that we can do for ourselves, the human race, do for this environment, what we can do to better ourselves, to basically like shed the skin that we've had, just shed that old skin of like all the trauma and all the discord that we have gone through. This is a brand new moment. A lot of us are stepping into our power, stepping into, our purpose. And so you are being asked by spirit to do the exact same thing. Do not be afraid of what people think. Do not think, the people that you're meant to serve are going to think that you're out there, because there's going to be folks who think that you are crazy, and that you, because of your belief system, and because you are becoming more of who you are and coming into, that element of who you are, you're going to think that people are going to be put off by it. The people that you are meant to serve, the folks that you are meant to serve, they are going to be coming through and listening to your story, because there's a lot of us who, I'm getting from spirit, chose to be in suffering, chose to suffer, chose to, use, our, I guess, put ourselves, in the position, because a lot of us don't remember, what and who we were, when we came to earth. And so what I'm getting from spirit is that we signed that contract, that spiritual contract, to use our pain and suffering, and to use our life experiences to basically teach, people that we are to overcome. It is very possible to overcome. It's very possible to be happy and to be whole, and to basically like get rid of those old tapes that tell us that, we're not good enough, that we are nothing, so on and so forth. There's a lot of us who are just, for years, and we have been doing everything we can because of the way we were raised, or because of programming that we have been subjected to. A lot of us are out here just pretending to be somebody we're not, to be someone that to be someone that we're not comfortable being, to be part of a group, to be part of something, not even knowing, not even knowing that we were looking for something much greater than ourselves. And so now that it's 2019, it's September. The number nine is about completion. Those times of, I guess, when I'm getting those times of pretending to be someone we're not, and being a person, and playing small, you know, well, being a person who's playing small is pretty much over with. That's done. That is completely and utterly done, because the new time is rising. And I mean by the new time, I'm talking about the new time of us. That moment, that we step into our power. That moment that we step into who we are as people, and as a collective, we are basically being told to do the work necessary. And when I mean do the work necessary, I mean talking about. I'm pretty much talking about um, through meditation, writing down what is in our minds, connecting with spirit, and asking spirit for assistance to remember who we are, to remember who we were, to rediscover our own power. A lot of people are coming into their psychic ability, and there's a lot of folks, who are going to be, again, asking and looking for guidance, because once they start tapping in the spirit, they start to remember. They start to remember what they used to do. They remember their past lives. They start to get visions. They start to hear things, to hear sounds. Um, they start to hear a lot of messages the spirit will have for them, or if they're not getting a lot of downloads right away, they will get them over time. um, this is also the time for us to start, working with our ancestors, working in definitely studying on how to to basically like start, putting altar table, ancestral altars, tables up, and consistently doing the work to honor our ancestors. I'm also getting to that. It's just time for us to start revealing. I'm just seeing like a triangle for some reason. I'm seeing a triangle, and that's basically the Trinity, or you know um, the mind, body, and spirit. For some people, it means like, the Son, the Father, the Holy Spirit, depending on where you come from. I'm just getting like this triangle where like this new awakening is coming, to where who are people who are awakening their psychic ability, their psychic ability is coming through, and they're waiting on you, the teacher. They're waiting on you, the fellow starseed. They're waiting on you to, give them all those downloads and give them this information. And the reason why you're getting this message today is because if you're struggling with trauma, you're struggling with a lot of things, you have to clear all the wreckage first. You have to clear all that wreckage. You have to do all you can, to basically see yourself, see your shadow self, see all of your shadows, and not to run from those shadows. Okay, this is not the time for us to be comfortable in our discomfort any longer. A lot of us, myself included, we're being pushed out of our comfort zones. We're being pushed out of our old way of thinking. We're being told to, start releasing a lot of those things that no longer serve us. And we're being told to basically start writing down and telling our stories. So when the time does come, you'll be able to be of service to a lot of new people who are being tapped on the shoulder a bit by, their spirit guides and their spirit team, saying like, look, it's time for you to use your psychic ability. It's time for you to use your mediumship. It's time for you to use some form of divination. You're being asked to use those gifts yourself. So what you can do, is start tapping into that. Start meditating for about like 5 minutes at least, 5 minutes, and then like gradually move up to 30 minutes. 21 days is like the best time that, the number of days that is going to help you rewire your brain, um, and get you in the habit of doing something, like meditation, or doing something every day that's a non-negotiable. So that's what I've pretty much been taught, by my own spiritual mentors. It actually works, when you like meditate every day, when you tap into spirit every day. If you're not want to be quiet or to stay quiet, then you are to listen to guided meditations. There are plenty of them on YouTube. Um, my spiritual mentor, Nikila Asha, has some on her YouTube channel. Excuse me. I don't know what happened. What's going on here? There's also Meditative Mind. That also another channel that has like a lot of guided meditations or sound meditations. So that is something that I have gotten from Spirit. But basically, for the day Monday, September 23rd, 2019, this is a time for you to to look at things in a brand new way, to look at things in a brand new light, and basically like seize this moment. I guess seize this moment, or at least um, use the time necessary that day to basically connect with spirit and connect with your inner self, so you can start doing the work to tap into spirit and to connect with spirit on a regular basis, because you're literally being awakened. You're being awakened, and you will be around other people who are going to be looking for your guidance the more you start, going through the ascensions yourself. So just be aware of that. Again, this message is for my fellow star seeds. In fact, I'm just getting the cards I pulled up is for my fellow star seeds, especially those who have gone through trauma and have been bogged down by the world and been bogged down by a lot of traumatic and dramatic experiences, especially in their childhood. I'm just getting that a lot of us are starting to, you know, I'm just seeing butterflies as well. Like I'm seeing butterfly wings, like monarch butterflies. A lot of you are going to be blossoming. A lot of you are going to be blossoming and becoming yourself on, that day. Um, and it's just like it's a beautiful sight to see. So that is the message the intuitive message that I received. If that resonated with you in any way, shape, or form, please share in the comments. What you think about star seeds and things like that, and tapping into spirit, into that energy, that universal alien energy that I'm picking up on. Um, so yes, like please like the video, share the video, and I would definitely like to see you comment. I would really like that as well. So let's get to the cards here. So the first card I got was the King of Wands. In regards to today's message, and what I'm getting is that again, like a lot of y'all are just like, it's time to act. It's time to act and actually contemplate and start studying as well. Because what's happening is that, again, you are being called. You are being called to be of service. And in order for you to be of service, you are to have a plan. And so if we have a plan in place, what does that look like? Does that involve, it's to involve tapping in the spirit, but does it also involve you getting a mentor? Does it involve you being active in a lot of spiritual groups in your area? Does it involve being a part of a collective online? So basically, this is a time for you to start planning and plotting as to what that looks like, because now that your curiosity is piqued, now that your curiosity and you're just awakening, you're like, okay, what do I do, and how do I become? What do I do? And this is if you're becoming very awakened. Like, how do I get this? How do I get this information? How do I get my hands on this information? For one, you can tap into spirit, but there are plenty of books out there. Chariot of the Gods is a really good book. If you are interested in the alien race and how all that went about. But if you're just starting out and you're just tapping into your psychic energy, um, this is the time for you to start looking for information in your area, um, as far as as far as what that looks like to you, and how you're going to use your psychic ability and your divination energy. And so that's what this card's about. I'm just getting, Yeah, I'm just getting have a plan in place. Have a plan in place as to what that is going to look like. If you are very seasoned and you know what type of star seed you are, and things of that nature, you know how the questions you are to ask yourself is, am I ready to serve? Am I ready to serve? Am I doing, some shadow work? If I am doing some shadow work, what does that look like? Is it of harm? Is it harming me? Am I ready to do this? Because a lot of people feel like, yeah, I can help. I would love to help, but what ends up happening was that they don't have the information necessary, or they don't know where to go. So basically, make sure that you have all your information correct. Make sure that you're tapping the spirit and taking care of yourself, so you can have a plan in place. It's best, if especially if you are being called, to be of service to other people. Is also best to have a plan in place as to what that is going to look like, and so on and so forth. That's what the only thing I'm getting from this card right here is about planning, and being a leader, and having your ducks in a row, and making sure ready. You're ready to take that on, because it's not for the faint of heart. As far as like, working with other people's energies and psychic energies, it's just something to be aware of. I'm also getting the Four of Swords, and what I got from this card right here is that please don't give up, or feel like no one is listening to you. And I'm talking to the star seeds, or those who are wanting to work with other star seeds, work and basically start, going ascending much higher, because there are times where you feel like people are not listening to you. You feel like people are going to think you're nuts. You feel like people are not going to feel or hear your message. But the thing is, people are out there, hearing your message, wanting to feel your message, and are waiting for you to come through. And so that's what that card's about as well. Like, there are so many people who are waking up. There are so many people who are coming through, and there are now, even those who are have been doing this for a while, like myself, are now just starting to come through, and into their own, and not being afraid anymore. The only reason why people tend to give up, or feel as if they are, or they're not to do this anymore, they give up or do something else, or feel like they just walk away from um, spirituality in general, is because they feel like their message is not being heard, or they're not well enough, or they're not, you know they're not enough of something. And that actually feeds into a lot of misperceptions and misconceptions, about healing, and what healing looks like. And what the thing is though, is that when it comes to healing, it's so lot is not linear. It is very much, all over the place. There are times when you're going to be okay. There's times when you're triggered. There are times when you are like in your power, standing in your power, standing in your element, and knowing that you are here for a purpose. And then there are times when you feel as if no one is listening to you, and so it just feeds into this narrative that a lot of us have, that what we are saying, and what we are doing, who we are as a person, who we are as a people, is not good enough. And so it just adds a lot of a lot of that stuff that we already have within ourselves, which is why we're being told as well that when it comes to trauma, and when it comes to any sort of generational trauma, historical trauma, basically start, examining all those thoughts, because it didn't come from us. We did not start that, and trauma is in our DNA, to be honest with you, because it's historical and generational. A lot of it's in our DNA. And so what our ancestors have been told, what our ancestors have been taught, is within us, whether we like it or not. So what ends up happening is that a lot of those thoughts and a lot of that pain goes from one generation to the next, and it affects how we think about ourselves. And so there's a lot of light workers and a lot of star seeds and a lot of people with psychic ability and those who are just awakening who are going into the spiritual closet because they feel as if no one's listening to them or they think that someone is going to think they're nuts, and that's not the truth at all. It's just that um, there are people in this world who are looking for someone like you and to give up on the fight just simply because of what other people have said or what other people are doing. Um, that doesn't mean that someone is not listening to you. So don't fret. Don't be afraid of speaking up. Don't lay down and pretend, okay, that, or even begin to tell yourself that someone is not listening, to your message, because your message is going to touch someone. Your message is going to touch someone. What I like to do is is I remember have a mental note, or I'm gonna start doing this like writing down people's compliments, just so you know that you're on the right track, because sometimes our brains are so muddled, that we don't even hear spirit. You know what I mean? So sometimes spirit works through other people. And so when other people are complimenting you or other people are telling you that you're on the right track, that is spirit's way of confirming, confirming everything and being affirming. For not confirming, but affirming. Basically affirming and confirming that you're on the right track. You're confirming and affirming that there is nothing wrong with you or how you do things. Granted, um, it's up to you by the end of the day to feel the way you feel about yourself. Is up to you to basically challenge those thoughts, and let go of those thoughts however way you wish to do so. But spirit does come to you by using other people, using situations to affirm you so you don't forget who you are and what you're here for. Like I said, a lot of people give up because they hang on to a lot of those negative messages. They hang on to a lot of that negativity that's in their mind. It is no fault of their own. But after a while, it's your responsibility, and you are to hold yourself accountable. Because that, to be honest with you, if you continue knowing that, if you know the tool or have the tools necessary, and you're still like, beating yourself up over the same things, this is a time for you to start, wondering what's going on here and what's the payoff for that. What is the payoff? Because by the end of the day, if you keep beating yourself up over things that you are to not beat yourself up over any longer, especially if the spirit has gotten in your face on many times, many occasions, that you or that you, and just to tell you that that you're okay and there ain't nothing wrong with you, then that is something that you are to examine. Like, what is the payoff? What's the payoff uh, of of seeing yourself a certain way, knowing full well that that's not how spirit sees you, or that's not how the world sees you, or people who love you see you. That is something. That's another thing, another message that came from this card. Because again, a lot of us give up because we have like this narrative in our mind. Or this narrative is this unhealthy narrative in our mind, and a lot of as a result, a lot of people like end up not using their gifts, or they don't end up, or they end up not being able to serve, because they feed into those messages. What do I get out of it? So that's an assignment in and of itself. Ask yourself, if you're like getting those negative messages, and they're like driving your actions, what do you get out of it? Because some people do the same thing different day because it's very familiar and unknown, um, or is known, excuse me. But then it goes way deeper than that. You know what I mean? Even like, especially if it's hurting you, what are you thinking? Do you feel as if you're not good enough? You don't deserve, to flourish? Are you afraid of failure? Are you afraid of success? Are you afraid of being seen a certain way? And if that's the case, where did that come from? Okay, where did that come from? Because again, that doesn't start with us. We also have the Knight of Cups. I'm getting that some of y'all don't feel like you're capable. This is the Nine of Cups upside down. Excuse me. And if it were right side up, it would say that it would tell you like, look, you're a dynamic person. Feel your feelings, ride the wave. Keep doing you. Like basically, this is what this card would be saying. Like basically, start when it comes to your feelings and when it comes to who you are. Be you, do you, and celebrate you. Um, and know that you're a beautiful person as a result of that. But what this is saying is that there's a lot of you who do not feel as if you're not good enough, or you're not capable enough, or you're not emotionally stable enough to serve people. And so that's what that card is saying. And what's happening is that you feel like you strive for perfection as a result of that. And so what Spirit is basically saying is that nobody's perfect. Nobody. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. No one is. There is no such thing as perfection. You know how many times I'm like, seriously, on this day alone, like I'm probably like gonna like fuck up somewhere. You know what I mean? There are many times when I was like, something wasn't perfect, something wasn't polished. I'm not polished, so how am I going to help somebody? That's the thing, though. Your imperfection is someone's need. Someone's like your imperfections are someone's blessings. And what I mean by that is that people are looking for someone who is real. People are someone who are looking for someone, a teacher who is very much rough, rugged, and raw, and not about namaste, wearing robes and stuff like that. Not everybody is like that. There are people who are fucking rough, rugged, and raw, and so you are one of those people. If you're one of those people who rough around the edges, by all means, be honest about that. Some of the best teachers are the ones who allow themselves to be vulnerable. Some of the best teachers allow themselves to say, like, look, I'm not doing well today. I'm not doing well today. I'm not feeling today. I'm not about it today. Some of your best teachers are out here. They are out here twerking. They are out here, smoking weed. They're out here doing all kinds of stuff, and they are still helping people overcome trauma. I have a friend who is bomb as hell, and their name is Fire Angelo, and she or they excuse me, they do videos. Well, she goes by either one, but they do videos every Monday, or they do a live video every once in a while. Every time I go there, I feel like I learned something. And they are so rough around the edges, and they're so rough, rugged, and raw, but yet they're the most intelligent, most loving people I've ever known. They do all kinds of Reiki. They're a Reiki healer, they're a writer or an author, they're a poet. They're always doing things for their community. They're all about healing. And they talk about things like white supremacy and how it actually affects our healing and affects our spiritual growth. They talk about that shit. They talk about that. They really do. And they are out here helping people because they are being vulnerable. Do you know how hard it is to be vulnerable in this world where, especially if you are a person of color, a non-black person of color, or a black person, or a member of the LGBTIQ community, someone who's trans, someone who's queer or gender nonconforming, or gay or lesbian, or do you know how hard it is, to be vulnerable in a world where it's that is so hostile towards anything that looks different, anything and anyone who looks like they could be out of the status fucking quo. Do you realize how difficult it is to navigate through this system and still be vulnerable? Is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, I've ever witnessed. My teacher, Nikila Asha, like she is namaste all day long, but she has stories, and she also is very vulnerable. and is very real and very rough around the edges. She's very professional, but has no problem telling you how she works through her anger, how long it took her to do that, and how she has no problem going back there to protect her family. There is a new generation of light workers, a new generation of spiritual teachers that are coming out who are being vulnerable. And the Knight of Cups is basically saying like there are so many of you who are still like this, who are still fighting. At least that's the energy I'm getting from that card. Is that you're still like this, and so Spirit is saying like, look, be yourself, be vulnerable. You're going to help somebody. That's why you're being told all the like star seeds and spiritual teachers out here. You're being told that this is a brand new day. You're being told that people are looking for someone like you. You're being told that your best is good enough. Fuck this world. Well, like and seriously, like forget this world to the point where you are hiding. Stop it. Like Spirit has something much more in store for you. Okay, doors are going to open for you. Would you start being yourself? Okay, seriously, like I'm just getting from that card like it's time for you to be yourself and allow yourself to be vulnerable. Allow yourself to be taught how to be vulnerable, and let your vulnerability be teaching a teaching moment. There's too many people out here with a smile on their face talking about namaste, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if that's not who you are, and you are the type of person who does shadow work, or you use shadow work to become a better person because of doing shadow work, writing down and looking at yourself, looking at your own toxicity, looking at how you know how certain people affect you and why. It may not have anything to do with your triggers, but everything to do with the fact that there's some part of you who is just like that person and you find it repulsive. Talk about that stuff because more likely people are, you're going to find a whole group of people who are not, who are looking towards someone like you to see how beautiful and how being vulnerable and doing your own work is very, very important. How important it is. In order for you to even ascend, you are to do your own work. You are to figure out and work around the fact, or at least face the fact, not even work around it, but face the fact that you have that we all harbor some sort of negative perception of ourselves, especially when we're starting out and we're starting to dig out, a lot of what's going on as far as our trauma. It's time to look at that stuff. And in order for you to do that, you're going to be vulnerable. If not with anyone, at least with spirit. Be vulnerable with spirit, as hard as it can be. So I got here. This is actually from. And I meant to say this too. I'm using the Modern Spellcasters Tarot in the Messenger Oracle deck. Spirit told me to use this. This one right here. So I have for this card, make the sacrifice. Make the sacrifice. Hmm. I'm getting. Please let go of what no longer serve you. Let your light shine as bright as you possibly can. Do not dim yourself in any way, shape, or form so someone else can, be in the spotlight. Sorry. Embrace, and make that sacrifice. That sacrifice, whatever it looks like to you. Okay, sacrifice your comfort. Okay, as far as your emotional state, sacrifice something that no longer serves you. Sacrifice your fear and your anger. Sacrifice that, and don't, not to the point where you're throwing it away or trying to pray it away, because that shit don't work. What I'm saying is that, um, when it comes to your shadows, you know, start to realize, that some of that stuff is holding you back because it's magnified, and you allowed it to, to run you and to run who you are. It's time to make the sacrifice. It's time to go outside, and it's time to get out of your comfort zone, and to basically, whatever is no longer serving you, whatever is no longer, bringing you any sort of joy whatsoever. It's time for us to basically let that go. It's time for us to let that go. Some of us are abusing drugs. Some of us are abusing things. Um, and what ends up happening is that we cut ourselves off from spirit when we do that. We cut ourselves off. Especially, I really do believe that with starseeds, or those who are meant to channel, a lot of us are not able to, like, abuse any drug or use any drug. We're now some sort of cutoff, and then you're not able to not only connect with spirit, you're not able to connect with your ancestors at all. Your ancestors, I'm not talking about the ancestors of this lifetime, I'm talking about your extraterrestrial, you know um, your ancestors. A lot of people can sort of she people on that, but what ends up happening is that, how are you able to give readings, how are you able to be of service when you're disconnected from source? And so that is what we are getting from this card. Like, make the sacrifice, of anything that is hurting you, or will connect or disconnect you from source in some way, shape, or form. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm 420 friendly all day, every day. And I have nothing against anybody who does, smoke. Of course not. You know what I mean? But if it's hurting you in some way, shape, or form, or, you know, what? Let me take the, let me go back, because there are people, who do smoke magic or smoke witches out there, who actually use, um, substances such as marijuana, or, things like that, to basically connect with spirit. And there are people who could really do that. But if you're ultra sensitive, and you're the type of person who uses their sensitivity to connect with spirit, or you're an empath, and your way of feeling other people is to, be a clear channel for spirit, um, then whatever you're using, it, you cannot, I'm not saying you cannot use it, it wouldn't be a good idea to do it. So that's what this card is basically saying. Like, be aware of what you are to sacrifice in order to connect with spirit, or to be of service. Because if you're not in any way, shape, or form, a clear channel for spirit, and you're highly sensitive, um, you're not going to be able to connect with spirit in any way, shape, or form, or connect with your spirit guides, or, to get those messages. You know, um, and so that's that on that, I guess. Um, you know what I mean? Um, and I feel like really weird, because I don't want people to look at this and say, like, look, he telling us what to do, like, he out here being, a dare program. Like, no, that's not what I'm doing at all. I'm just saying that, addiction is real. Dependence, chemical dependency is very real. And if you are a person, who struggles with that, by all means, let someone know, or get help, or know, or give, let spirit know what's going on, um, or ask spirit to help you, or to get professional help in some way, shape, or form, if need be. But there are a lot of sensitive people, highly sensitive people, who, like, abuse drugs in some way, shape, or form, or abuse something, a substance, to the point where they cannot function. There are people who, in the spirit world, not in the spirit world, in the spiritual community who do this. And so, by all means, like, be careful, is all I'm saying. Okay, be careful. If you so choose to continue, be careful, but also be honest with yourself about where you are. Also, last but not least, embrace the feminine. Embrace your sensitivity. Embrace your sensitivity. Oh, okay, her boobs are out, so I don't know if I can do that. But embrace your sensitivity. Embrace the divine feminine. Embrace your nurturing spirit. Embrace that, in the name of spirit, in the name of yourself. This is a part of your healing. Embracing your femininity is a part of your healing. There is a balance, an energetic balance between the masculine and the feminine. You cannot be too much of one thing or too much of the other. There is to be a healthy balance, because it will make you a balanced person. And actually, on a spiritual level, you'll be able to connect with both sides of a person. You know what I mean? Like, that's basically how it is. I know that a lot of people are like, they are very much tapped into their feminine spirit, and that's all fine and good. There are people who are tapped into their masculine spirit, and that's all fine and good. But there are folks out there that are being called to basically channel both, embrace both, especially if you are a trans person, and you were born into like the body of the opposite sex. Basically, don't you're basically also being asked, like, if you were to transition, whether it be socially, um, medically, or even physically, don't forget who that person was. That person was your masculine or feminine self. On the outside, they were they were the complete opposite on the outside of who you were on the inside, and they kept you safe. Okay, they taught you, like, how to basically navigate this world. They taught you what to watch out for. They taught you, and they had to um, they had to use your energy and theirs. Okay, I know that may not make any sense, but basically what that is that, especially trans people, you're being asked, you're being encouraged by spirit to not throw aspects of you away, just simply because you transition, or simply because of whatever reason that person protected you. So this is actually the time for you to basically tap into the energy of that person, and the energy of the person you are now. Okay, even if you're gender non-conforming, you still have those energies of both masculine and feminine. You have those, like, and together they are someone completely different. They are literally an experience. They make it like having both makes you who you are as a complete person. It does not, like, when you're one or the other, it feels completely unreal. Like, or not even unreal. It doesn't feel complete. Your spirit is not complete without either one, with one and not the other. So that's what's happening here. Okay, I don't want her tatas to be out. So basically, what this is saying is that, like, embrace all of you. Even though it says embrace the feminine, embrace all of you. Embrace both your masculine and feminine energy, and use those two energies to connect with the people that you are meant to connect with. Because if you're working with one and not the other, there's going to be it's just going to feel very it's not it doesn't it's not going to feel you're not going to feel complete. I mean, that's not the word I wish to use, but that's the word that's coming up. You won't be able to feel complete. And to tell you a personal story, I remember when I first transitioned, my masculine energy, like, came through. It completely narrowly came out. and I wanted to brush away anything that even remotely felt feminine, that felt even remotely feminine. I wanted to get rid of that. Okay, but as a spiritual person, after a while, I felt like discomfort. It's as if that part of her, that part of myself, that feminine energy, was like, no, wait a minute, I was been here for this long. I've been here for 30 plus years. What are we doing? I protected you for this long. What are we doing? Okay, I belong here as well. And so what ends up happening is that I fully like accepted that I'm an embodiment of both. Even though like on the on the outside, at least from the top anyway, like I look masculine, and I feel masculine. I also know I have a lot of sensitive qualities as well, and that's because I'm balanced out as far as my masculine and feminine energy. Okay, even my body in the way it is, like embodies and basically represents how I feel on the inside. So, and and I say all that because there are so many star seeds, so especially those who are um, gender nonconforming or you know um, trans, whether it be like trans masculine, trans men, trans woman. A lot of us feel like we have to be either one or the other, or not one at all, or not any of it. But the thing is, like, in order for you to be a whole entity, on a soul level, you are to work with both the masculine and the feminine energy. Okay, and you're being called to do this, whether you're a star seed, um, or whether you know you're a star seed or not. You're to work with both of your energies because that's how you will be of service, and that's how you will be a whole person. Oh, that's good spirit. That's it. If that's it. All right. So thank you so much for watching the video. If it, resonated with you in any way, shape, or form, please subscribe to the channel. You can also like, share, or comment. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And if you would like a more in-depth reading, you can go to thebowtiepsychic.com to schedule an appointment. So thank you again. Thank you again for allowing me to serve. Thank you so much for allowing me to give you this message. Like it was really nice. And yes, seize the day and let yourself be known. So on that note, peace.